Okay, so for this I want to show how I came about making the dodgers for the handrails. Well, it was all fairly experimental and it's not too bad. So let's have a look. So for the dodgers themselves, I'm going to use cigarette papers that's used for hand rolling your own cigarettes. Now the paper itself doesn't really have a grain, which is good, and it's relatively tough compared to other papers of this thinness. And that's one of the reasons I went for it, was just how thin it was. Okay, so I've only got the standard size. I do believe you get other papers, it's a bit longer, which I'll try and source, but if not, we can join them together. But for this, one length is good enough. Obviously it's got a crease in the middle that you could probably spend effort to remove, but handrails aren't that deep anyway, so you could probably get 2 runs from each paper. Okay. So for the colour, I mean, it's supposed to represent canvas. I'm going to just use Mr. Colour's sail colour. It actually seems to match the colour. It's on the box art for the kit. Now you could probably do it closer to white or a pale light grey or whatever. I'm going to stick with this though. So I've loaded up here a brush and I'm just going to apply it in very light coats. We just lightly build up the colour. And we can put in some randomness as well. It doesn't have to be a solid colour. Because remember, it's supposed to be canvas. So we'll get stained and creased and we can turn it over to the other side. Here's one I did while I was trialling out using the cigarette papers. I'm talking about just how tough they are. So it does this. And you can actually scrunch it up. And then as you can see, it's still hold together. So the paint hasn't affected it at all. It's really strong. In fact, you could actually scrunch it up before you apply it to the handrail to get a bit of texture, canvas effect. I mean, I really scrunched up and overdid it. You could go a lot gentler and still get a bit of texture to it. As you can see, it still tears, but I mean, it's no different from any other paper. With a sharp knife as well, and this is how I'm going to trim it once it's on the handrail, but it will still cut very easily. Okay. Okay, so let's glue the handrail onto the paper. Now rather than try and cut this the exact size and attach it to a pre-bent rail, what I'm going to do is attach it oversized and unbent, thinking being it'll be a lot easier rather than trying to manipulate it onto the handrail itself. So there's a number of ways you can attach it, possibly a spray adhesive, but that would leave the spaces in between a bit tacky. I've tried PVA woodworker's glue and also ultra glue, but they're a bit wet and does actually wrinkle the paper a bit. So what I'm going to do is use a Tamiya flat clear. Because it's solvent based, it doesn't seem to affect the paper at all. Also being flat, hopefully it will dry without any shine. Now I'm going to apply a thick wet coat. Okay, so we'll leave that to go off. There's a fair bit of overflow on some of the sides, but being matte clear, hopefully it will dry back and we won't notice it. Okay, so the clear coats went off and dry. So I'm just going to cut this. Just using a chopping motion. I don't actually slide it in case I start removing the paint from the photo edge. Although you could if you wanted, if you didn't mind going back in and touching up. I'm trying to minimise touch up. Doing it that way is a couple of rough parts, but we can just go back in. Okay, so maybe I will try and just slice it. It wasn't too bad. Okay, so I can see some brass. So we'll go in and bend it now. I'll just move the camera, it's too close. Okay, so need to be 90 degrees. Okay, so it's not done. Doesn't look too bad. I think it's very close to the effect I was looking for. So let's get it attached to the cabin roof. So I'm going to use crystal clear. A bit too much on that back edge, but we can use a damp brush just to clean up. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Very happy with that. I could probably go a bit heavier with the paint because it does, you know, we do have the handrails showing through. But that's okay. I'll bear that in mind for the next ones.